Welcome to Dark Docent. My name is Jake. Join me as I guide my friend James down the paranormal rabbit hole, attempting to prove the authenticity of a new case each week. Today's case, the Wendigo. How you doing today, James?
I'm pretty good, I think. How are you?
You sound very certain about that.
Only Sith deals in absolutes.
Very true. Starting the wise words early. I like it. I'm not bad, brother. I'm very busy. I've had a lot of things go down in my personal life at the moment that are causing a lot of hecticness, I would say.
Yeah, definitely has sounded like it.
So because of that, I got a little help. We got ourselves a researcher, buddy.
Whew, our first employee before we've made a buck.
Not an employee, but someone who offered to help me research, was our very first listener, our listener that was listening to us before even we listened to our podcast, Daria.
Oh,
I had several people tell me yesterday that I looked like shit and that I need to take care of myself, so I guess I need to take that seriously. So Daria offered to do some research for me, as I was also researching. She is way more organized than I am, because my research and notes is usually just on the Notes app, and it's just written in bullet points.
I can verify that too. When you got married, she kind of held it all together.
Yeah, that's what she does. And she's good at stuff. I also feel extremely inadequate because I asked her to do one topic for me as I was researching another topic, and she had it done in 2 hours. And it takes me a few days because I'm really bad at stuff like that. And it takes me a long time to get things correct. And also, I'm paranoid about what's correct and what's not, and that matters to me.
Right. And I just have to take your word for it.
That's why it matters. I want to make sure that I'm telling you the truth and telling the audience the truth. And if I mess up, I will tell people that I mess up. Like last podcast when I had to re-record parts because I did mess up and I wasn't going to let that happen.
A super important detail.
A super important detail that probably wasn't even that important.
No one would have noticed.
No, but I did. And that's the problem. And I want the truth out there. So thank you to Daria for helping me research. And she included some research for this topic today as well. James, we got a big one today. And it's not just a big one, but it's probably the scariest one we've dealt with so far.
The scariest one? After Halloween?
Yes. I got a story for you. We are in the Algonquin territory, east of the Great Lakes, 1636. A Jesuit missionary named Paul Lejeune is staying with the Algonquin tribe. Back then, lots of priests would travel and try to spread Christianity and their religions across the Native Americans. This is a pretty new thing. People have just recently been allowed to come into Native American tribes. And with that, Europeans are learning of Native American culture. And we get a lot of journal entries from this time as they're learning. Because this has only been maybe 20 years of guys staying with different tribes around North America. However, on one particular day, he learned of the dark side of their culture. A woman ran into camp, screaming, panicked, yelling for help. A bunch of the tribe's people run up to her and grab her, ask her what's wrong. She was screaming that a whole other tribe that she was a part of had been torn apart, killed, eaten. She said that a massive cannibal beast had been killing everyone when the weather comes cold. Father Lejeune had never heard anything like this before, and he started asking around, what is she talking about? What is this creature? The tribes all seem to know what this is. One of the men of the tribe talked to Father Lejeune and said, she speaks of a creature of greed, of hunger, of evil. She is speaking of the lover of human flesh. This creature is a permanent fixture in North American paranormal lore and in Native American lore. And today, we're finally tackling it. James, have you heard of the Wendigo?
Believe it or not, I have.
Not surprised by that.
Shout out to When the Not Wendigo, who gave you a book on Wendigos.
Got to learn from the source. What do you know about Wendigos?
That they're the same but different from pale crawlers.
That's something we did talk about on the Pale Crawler episode.
And also, Wendigos do not have antlers.
Wendigos do not have antlers. Yes, I'm glad you remember that.
They're just a tall, spooky humanoid thing.
Yes, the common description of Wendigos that you'll hear in pop culture is the strange deer-headed beast. It's a common thing you'll see on the internet. You'll hear it in stories. And honestly, it's a bad thing, but it's also a good thing. Because it's a really good way to weed out obviously fake Wendigo stories.
Right.
If anyone's on Reddit talking about this strange deer man, well, you know it's not real because that's not the actual
Or
depiction
at
of
least
Wendigo.
not a Wendigo.
It's not a Wendigo. It might be a not deer. There's also another cryptid called the Deer Man from the southeast of America, but that's a different
Could
thing.
also just be a deer.
Could also just be a deer. Anyway, that's different. That's neither here nor there. Today we're talking about the Wendigo. The Wendigo is described as a gaunt, pale humanoid, 10 to 12 feet tall. Its lips are either ribboned or not there at all, for it's so hungry it just eats its lips away. It's also said to have an ice-cold heart. Literally, its heart is made of ice. It's also known to mimic loved ones' voices to lure people out into the woods where it can attack them. It can also throw its voice, not just into people's ears, but inside their minds, to possess them. It's known for its insatiable hunger, and also can use the winter winds to travel around without being noticed. Its skin is stretched tight all around the body to the point that you can see bones through it. And it has very shallow, sunken eyes. Very similar to a pale crawler in description. Now, the initial stories of the Wendigo come from the winter times in Native American tribes. All of the Native American tribes talk about this all through Canada, all down the eastern United States. Wherever it's cold, they have a story of this strange, gaunt creature. But stories of this creature are seen east and west of the Great Lakes, as far east as Labrador, and as far north as Hudson Bay. As said, this is all based around the winter season, which the Native Americans called the hunger season. In the Algonquin tribe, this was the main tribe where all these stories came from, the hunger season is a very big deal. And hunger and greed are seen as a great sin. Sharing someone's food wasn't a thing you do to be nice, it was mandatory. If somebody wasn't sharing their food and showing any ounce of greed, that's showing a bit of Wendigo. This was such a big deal that they would even have ceremonies to ward off the Wendigo, but also ceremonies to remind people what the Wendigo can do. Almost like a propaganda television show. Like they would have fires and people would dress up as the Wendigo and jump on tree branches and like tear them apart like animals and show people what it could do if you do not abide by it. And if you let the sin of greed and hunger consume you.
Sounds kind of like telling kids they have to be nice or Santa's not coming.
Same thing, except this one was taken more seriously because this was to adults too.
Yeah, Santa's going to eat you if you don't share.
I see it more as like a propaganda film.
Yeah.
Like United States saying like, back in the 50s, tell everyone about the Red Scare, if your neighbor's a commie, like getting the information out. Because this was for adults too, it wasn't just for children. And actually, it was so deep in the culture, like pregnant women were a big part of how the tribe was doing and how a Wendigo could infiltrate. So if you have enough food that you could give your food to a pregnant woman and she stays happy, then you're okay. If the pregnant woman is sharing her food, there is no way that a Wendigo will get into camp. Because if the pregnant woman is able to share her food, there's enough for the whole camp to survive the winter. However, if the pregnant woman is starving, if the pregnant woman is angry, is going to die, is being greedy, then that's a bad sign that a Wendigo could be infiltrating your camp. I know it sounds probably ridiculous to you.
Definitely is like scare tactic-y, it seems.
It is, but there's a lot of strange cases with this attached to the Wendigo that we will get into. They would take this extremely seriously. The first European to speak of the Wendigo was Samuel de Champlain. The Algonquin tribe was telling him about the, quote, lover of human flesh, about this strange beast that would live in the north and then come down when it was coldest to take advantage and possess the tribes who were desperate for food and take advantage of their weak minds.
So this seems kind of not along the lines of what I was thinking about Wendigo so far, where it seems more of a mind control or like a symptom type of thing.
Yeah, you thought of it more like a creature.
I was thinking, yeah, a creature.
Yeah, so Wendigo are seen as both. They are a creature and a spirit.
Right.
In the Native American culture, it's a lot more like it can take both forms. It's the same way they thought about with Yogo Pogo. There is a literal creature in the lake, but also it's more of a god and a belief there's something in the lake. It's above just a regular creature.
Interesting.
Yeah, they see it as that it can be both. So the Wendigo aligns with both. And I know to the way we think in the modern day that sounds ridiculous.
Maybe a little bit.
A little bit. But as I said, this was taken really seriously. And we got more journal entries from Paul Lejeune speaking about this because he stayed with them for 3 years in the 1630s, from 1633 to 1636. In his journals, Lejeune talked about a Montagnais scout who showed him the hand of a man who was killed by a Wendigo. Apparently, they came across a bunch of eviscerated men in the woods. One of the scouts said, no, this is not the work of a bear. It's not the work of a cougar. This is the work of a Wendigo.
There are a lot of big, dangerous animals in Canada.
There are. But they were adamant that this was a real thing. Another woman refused to leave her house during the famine season due to Wendigo. She didn't want it to take advantage of her brain or the weak mind of anyone else in the tribe and possibly have someone attack. Because when someone gets their mind taken advantage from the Wendigo, it gets really violent, really fast. Lejeune wrote down in his journals that he compared it to like a werewolf. Someone could get cursed with this Wendigo type psychosis, and that's what makes them into a Wendigo. Because again, they talk about it being a cannibal beast.
Yeah.
These things are human and they turn into Wendigos. Quote, neither lunacy, hypochondria, or frenzy, but a combination of all. There were ways, though, to treat this Wendigo psychosis, which is what it's come to be called.
Was it with food, love, and affection?
Actually, kind of. I'm not even joking. One of the main ways it was by sweat lodge. If somebody was coming down with dreams or visions of wanting to eat their loved ones, only smelling flesh, only craving to eat people, they would tell the shaman, and the shaman would bring them into a sweat lodge. And basically they would sweat out the toxin, but also it would cause them to see visions. And it would be how the shaman would determine if it was a Wendigo curse or if they were just hungry. Because the shaman would talk to them as if they were possessed, like, let me speak to the Wendigo. Kind of like an exorcism.
Yeah.
But a Native American version. And he would sit there and wait for the visions. And if he got visions of just regular hunger, nothing like a creature, nothing like a monster, like a Wendigo, he's just hungry. We just got to give him more food. However, if he saw visions of a terrible creature and cannibalism and awful hunger and sin and all that, then he would be determining that if this was a Wendigo possession, then you'd have to go into more deeper ways to treat it. Some of these ways is the shaman would stay with the victim overnight and would say prayers or speak to the Wendigo, trying to keep it at bay, while the rest of the group would play drums and songs, trying to rid it from the man's system or the woman's system. They would also feed them different herbs that would ward the Wendigo. A common one was boiling bear fat or fat of an animal and pouring it down their throat to melt the icy heart. That way, the Wendigo heart would not be taking over their heart.
It sounds like a surefire way to kill someone.
It didn't kill them, believe it or not, but if none of these worked, then there was only one way to cure the Wendigo psychosis. Execution. Followed by cremation of the heart to stop the possession or the spreading of the Wendigo psychosis. They would kill the person. Usually his or her family members would have to do it, cut out his heart, burn it, and then spread it around the woods. and that would protect them for now from the Wendigo psychosis.
The cure for being hangry in 1636 was crazy.
Right?
The man is Snickers.
You're not you when you're hungry. I know, James, that this all sounds a bit like mumbo jumbo.
Sounds like a possession.
Sounds like a possession.
Which gets into ghost territory, which gets into unbelievable territory.
Yes. Well, lucky for these Native Americans, they had somebody from Europe with them. And they would
saviors.
They would definitely have something more logical that could fix this.
Smallpox?
No, although that would probably kill them. So
same end result, I guess.
I guess so. Anyway.
Sorry.
Obviously, this isn't some crazy creature in the woods. This is the devil.
The devil, you say?
The only way to cure this is through exorcism and spreading Christianity amongst the tribe.
Amen, brother.
Because they only know sin at the moment. And that's what lots of these priests did, is they would just try to cure it through their own means. Lots of the Native Americans didn't like that. They believed that their ways were better and they knew what they were dealing with. However, the priests largely said, no, this is more like a werewolf or a demonic possession. And they just could not understand the strange creature in the woods that they were talking about. Whereas more and more priests started to move west along North America, Wendigo sightings and encounters only grew. In the mid-1600s, Wendigo became like an epidemic of sorts. Lots of Wendigo encounters and lots of journal entries that weren't just going back to civilization, but were going all the way back to France. So people in France were convinced that there was monsters everywhere in North America.
Oh no. Just like the French Canadians, they are the perfect Frenchmen. Not like the Western Canadians.
Oh, this is going to be a long one.
Buckle up, buddy.
In 1647, Father Jérôme Lamont reported a case in the Huron tribe where a man confessed to having dreams of the Wendigo, saying that he was dreaming of eating his family and everyone around him, and he needed to be cured. Right after he said this in the middle of the tribe, he was executed on the spot by his family. Didn't even try to heal him, just killed him right there.
I think they were probably thinking of that for a while in that case.
Oh, they must have. Or either that or things got really bad. I believe at this time, if you look at it weather-wise, these years in the mid-1500s, 1600s, 1700s, they were severely more cold than the winters nowadays.
Right.
It would explain why there was more of this rabid Wendigo psychosis. He saw them kill their own family, cut out the heart, burn it, spread the ash, without any hesitation. Now this word of not just beasts in the woods are getting out that can possess people like the devil, but these wild human beings that just kill their family for no reason. Like that's what they're seeing, these priests, because they're not understanding it.
Yeah.
So that's getting back to Europe. And that's not helping things.
No, I wouldn't think so.
So when people are coming from Europe now, they're getting word that there's monsters in the woods and people that are killing their own family. Well, in the same year, Father Francois Rahana wrote in his journals of a quote-unquote carnivorous madness in a refugee camp around Lake Huron. There was Huron and Algonquin tribe members in this refugee camp. There was a war right now between the Iroquois and the French, and it displaced a lot of tribes. And in one of these refugee camps, several people resorted to cannibalism, claiming that they were under the Wendigo's control. This led to a mass execution of all afflicted. You can see this now in like the mid-1650s. It's not even like trying to heal them. It's like just kill them. Like this was desperate times at the moment for some, like just, it was insane. And we get more stories as more and more priests go out there. Father Claude LeBlanc spoke of natives who reported a quote-unquote spirit of ice lurking in the Northwoods that would imitate a crying child to lure people from camp. This is where it gets a little more insane. This is actually a more famous encounter with a Wendigo. In 1661, 8 men fell to Wendigo psychosis at the same time. They all immediately started pouncing on men, women, and children. Quote, like werewolves, screaming that if they did the Wendigo's bidding, they'd never feel hungry again. They just started eating people alive right in front of everyone. Apparently, the more they ate, though, the hungrier they got. The men just kept attacking and eating people until they were able to subdue some of them, tie them up, and then execute them on the spot. There was no number to how many people got murdered that night, and it was like just a zombie apocalypse movie. They just all started pouncing, saying they were under the Wendigo's control. The worst part about that is these 8 men that did that were the hunters of the tribe. So how hopeless are you when the guys who were supposed to get you the food get taken over by the Wendigo and start eating you?
Oh, well, it's definitely not looking good for winter.
No, it's not. It's not. So priests are convinced that the devil is taking over all these people. And conversion is the only way to fix it.
I probably would have been on the first boat back to Europe.
It seems like a hellscape, honestly.
You came over, you kind of fucked up their lives. Leave.
Hey, you know what, guys? It's been a rough 250 years. I don't know if we've done much good here.
Should have called it quits then and there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't think we're doing much to help this. And just you wait. Because they only made it worse.
Yeah, that sounds about historic.
That sounds historically correct, doesn't it?
Yeah, checks out.
So if you look back through history, though, you'll see all these journals talking about this happening. And all of them talking about the creature, the Wendigo, taking them over. But there are other creatures that are similar but different names.
It's funny, I was just about to ask if they all went by the name Wendigo or if there were different names for the same sort of thing because different tribes would have or may have had different languages.
It all basically translates to like lover of flesh.
Right.
Or lover of human flesh. But they all have a name for this kind of creature.
Yeah.
Fur trader and explorer Nicholas Perot described in his memoirs, the Ottawa and Cree people spoke of the Otaku. It was a skinny ice giant that ate human flesh, never satisfied. This just goes to show, same description. These tall, pale giants, kind of like with the ice heart, eating people. These descriptions are the same, no matter where you go. And this is where we made things worse. By the 1700s, explorers started to go further and further west. And as they went further and further west, reports grew and grew. And they also brought something to quote-unquote help the Native Americans. Alcohol. This is where they started the trade of alcohol to Native Americans. This was a thing that they would do to give them alcohol. They would do in the winter months, suffer from Wendigo psychosis, trying to help them, but not realizing what they were doing. Wendigo is actually tied to a lot of other destruction from Europeans coming here too.
Right.
It's like all intertwined with the culture. It's really sad. But with that, more and more reports happened. 1736, French interpreter Joseph Coulon de Gémonville was caught in a winter storm with Ojibwe hunters. As they were caught there, they were trying to get out wherever they could, but they had to just bunker down and hope for the storm to pass. But the storm lasted a lot longer than they thought it would. As they were sitting in their camp, they noticed 2 men went missing. When they went to go look for the men, they found one over top of the other, eating him. Instantly, they were convinced that he was a Wendigo, that he was too far gone, and again, executed him on the spot. And these journals just keep going with these terrible, terrible accounts. They also have stories of tribes that refused to travel at night because they would hear Wendigo screams in the woods. And we actually have a description of what these Wendigo screams sounded like. They sounded like a high-pitched wind that turned into like a child wailing as it went lower.
Can you try doing it so I can get a good idea?
I can play you a recording of someone trying to imitate it, or like someone who made it.
You know what? Sure. I'm not cold enough yet. Let's put a shiver in the spine. Kind of like a classic demonic sounding voice going into a really high pitched scream.
Yeah, And some of them kind of come down to like a bassy stop.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like a demonic elk.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me too a bit of like the Call of Duty zombies scream to start.
That too.
Like the lower part.
Creepy as fuck.
Yeah, I guess elk too. That is a good comparison for the high pitch.
Another explorer named David William Harmon was at a camp in the Cree Nation when a woman was about to give birth. They brought her inside the tent and were treating her, and all the shamans were with her. As she's giving birth, she begins to panic. She starts screaming that there is a Wendigo outside the tent, waiting to eat her child. When she said this, the elders began burning sweetgrass and began making her drink bear grease to melt the evil heart as she's giving birth. And actually, apparently, this worked. She did stop seeing the Wendigo and did give birth to the kid and was fine. So sometimes these things did actually work. However, it's estimated they only worked about 30% of the time. The other 60%, 70%, they had to just kill them, unfortunately.
Do you think if it didn't work, that they would have killed her before or after she gave birth?
Probably after.
Try to save the child?
Yeah.
I mean, a newborn baby is not going to be eating people.
As far as they know.
They don't have teeth yet.
That's true. They at least just gum you. Yeah, they'd probably have to kill her but keep the child. The survival of the tribe too, right? That's like the whole thing. In the late 1700s, Wendigo psychosis was seen as an epidemic all around the area. And this got back to a brand new company, the Hudson's Bay Company.
That was going to be my guess.
Yes, sir.
The first company. Fun fact, the Hudson's Bay Company was founded May 2nd, 1670.
It is one of the oldest, I think it is the oldest company in North America before it closed.
Probably it was the first one here. And they just closed, a couple months ago?
Yeah, like this year, last year.
RIP.
Thanks, Trudeau. Well, they started hearing stories from all their workers of these people suffering from Wendigo psychosis. And so they're getting all these stories of like, should we go out there? Should we pray? Should we get them to convert? Maybe all these savages need to learn our ways. The Hudson's Bay Company said, give them food. What are you doing? What are you fucking talking about? And the Hudson's Bay...
They're starving to death.
Yes.
Give them some fucking food.
Yes, so the Hudson's Bay Company began giving out food to all of their traders to prevent Wendigo psychosis. Because like, have you literally been praying for 250 years? It's like, no, we just let them eat things so they don't eat people. What are you doing? So, I mean...
And everyone lived happily ever after, the end.
That fixed it? No, not really. Trappers and stuff packed food, and when they would trade the furs and stuff, they would give food as well to keep the tribes surviving. However, we know now that the Hudson's Bay Company was also overhunting and taking away all of their food resources.
They definitely did a good amount of that.
Yes.
Sorry, beavers. And everyone and everything else.
You're just running off the apologies here. This is just like a big old guilt trip. The Hudson's Bay Company knew that this was going on. And they understood that there was ways that the native tribes around all different regions would deal with it. So the Hudson's Bay Company would leave judgment to them and basically say, like, they can deal with their own tribes. They can deal with their judgment and their punishment, whatever they need to do. The Royal Mounted Police can deal with what we deal with in our towns and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine. However, there is a famous case from the late 1800s. That is the case of Swift Runner. Have you heard of Swift Runner?
It is not ringing a bell.
So Swift Runner was a prominent hunter. He was a Hudson's Bay Company freighter. He's also for a short time part of the Mounted Police. Swift Runner was a part of the Cree tribe. He had a wife and 6 kids, 3 boys and 3 girls. Now in November of 1878, Swift Runner went out on a hunting trip. And this was kind of normal. In the wintertime, they would kind of spread out in small groups, so it was easier to feed small groups, and then you would see them all come back together again in the springtime. Swift Runner wasn't supposed to be out there for too long. He packed enough for a 6-week trip, so he made like a moose hide lodge, kind of like a big tent, and he was 13 miles north of Fort Saskatchewan. Now, the whole family was there, his mother-in-law and his brother, so there is 9 of them. However, about 4 weeks into the trip, in early December, a cold front rolled in. an extremely bad one that they did not expect to come this early. This cold front would give them minus 35-degree nights every night, on average.
That is Celsius.
That is Celsius. The nearby creek froze, and all of the animals in the region left the area, so they couldn't even hunt. So they had some rations, and they could try to feed each other. They resorted to even eating some of the hide from the tent, or like different beaver hides they had that they were going to trade. But people were falling ill, kids were falling ill, and they most likely weren't going to survive. So Swiftrunner's brother, Daystar was his name, he decided that he was going to snowshoe 18 miles south to get help. There was a mission down there run by Father Luddock, and he figured that maybe they could have like some extra food or something they could bring back, or at least some medicine. So he got down there, met with Priest Luddock, and Priest Luddock sent a bottle of quinine and a note saying, quote, "Please evacuate." That was it. That was help. Here's some little bit of medicine and you should leave. Daystar was like, great idea. I'm going to go back there and give him this note that says you should leave and the medicine. But by the time he got back there, everything was impassable. The snow had built up. Everything was impossible to get out. At least in the state that they were in. If they tried to leave, they would die anyway.
Right.
So they decided that they would have to hunker down. Now, nobody saw or heard from anyone from this camp for about a month. Not until the new year, 1879. When one of the nearer trading posts saw a familiar face. Swiftrunner. Swiftrunner had ventured 25 miles. Just went in to buy some ingredients and a little bit of food. He was offered breakfast, but refused. He said he had hollow eyes, and so he just needed to buy what he needed and just head back. And then they didn't see Swiftrunner again until the springtime. Swiftrunner wasn't seen until April. And they were expecting the worst. You know, when people would come out of these terrible winters, it was very common to see very skinny people eating food that wasn't out of the ordinary. So this was at Father Luddock's mission. And he noticed that Swiftrunner looked fine. He had 2 lynx pelts and a cone of fat. And he looked rather well fed. He wore a new moose hide, new moccasins, and smelled like grease and smoke. When he asked him where his family was, Swiftrunner just said coldly, "The snow took the children, and Charlotte is buried where the creek bends west." Luddock talked to him for a bit. Other people in the village were kind of sad, making sure he was okay. Luddock was suspicious. This man is well fed. He's a bigger guy, around 6'3". He's not emaciated. And he's got all these new clothes on. And he smells of oil and smoke.
Did he eat him?
I'm not going to spoil it for you, James, but you might be onto something. Father Luddock wrote a note and gave it to his courier and told him to go to Fort Saskatchewan and get the mounted police.
Fort Saskatchewan? Isn't that right next to Edmonton?
Yeah, this is 13 miles north of Fort Saskatchewan. This is in Alberta.
I got family in Fort Saskatchewan.
Yeah, I know, you were just there.
My uncle that lives there might be listening to this. I would say now, but now is whenever you're listening to it.
Well, if you want to go check out where all this terrible thing might have happened, just walk 13 miles north and you might find it. You probably won't. I don't know where it happened, but it was 13 miles north of Fort Saskatchewan. You know, middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's flat.
Anyone who does not live in Canada, all the cities are on the border of the United States, and then there's nothing. And that's basically it. You might find some small towns of like 4 people.
That being said, Fort Saskatchewan is nowhere near the border.
No, it's not. But it's not that big either.
You'd think Fort Saskatchewan would have been in Saskatchewan, but you'd be wrong.
There's a lot of dumb things like that here. I don't understand why Fort Saskatchewan is not in Saskatchewan. His courier made the 40-mile journey in just 14 hours and told the mounted police of this suspicion of Swiftrunner. So they confront Swiftrunner at Fort Saskatchewan. Asked him to take him back to his camp. Now, it's kind of shocking to see the mounted police in this area. Lots of the Native Americans didn't like that the mounted police were now encroaching on their territory. This is where the controversy starts. They get taken back to Swiftrunner's camp. There's no real argument to him. This is a few weeks' journey. And when they get back, they see a terrifying sight. Bones everywhere. Burned, boiled, cracked open for marrow. When they turned and looked at Swift Runner, he simply replied, quote, "The Wendigo made me do it." And then he casually picked up a skull and started chuckling, pointed at it, and said, "This is my wife." Would you like to hear what Swift Runner did, detail for detail?
I don't know if I do want to, but I know the audience does.
You're gonna. Last we saw Swift Runner, it was January. However, after this, when he got back to his camp, he found out that one of his sons had died. After this, the family started living off little pieces of beaver hide, and Swift Runner began hearing a voice. The voice spoke one syllable at a time. He claimed that the voice always came from the north flap of the tent. By February, the deep freeze continued and only got worse. The voice began to tell him, "The only way to silence me is to kill and eat every soul at this camp." Swift Runner began to listen. The voice gave him a strict order. The strong boy first, then the woman, then the little ones. I will leave once the camp is quiet. The next day, Swift Runner's family went out to search for food. They began walking kilometers away just to see if they could forage anything. However, his 10-year-old son was sleeping in the camp. Swift Runner loaded one bullet into his rifle and shot his son in the chest. He then saw that the boy was still breathing, grabbed a stick, and beat him over the head several times until he stopped. He then dragged the boy onto a caribou hide, just beyond the door flap. This way, he could hear footsteps coming. He disjointed all of the boy's limbs with his knife, cracked the sternum with his rifle butt, and ate the heart and liver raw. He then started tearing out the bones and setting them to boil, and stripped his son's calf and forearm skin and put them in the snow to freeze so he could smoke them later. While the family was out, his 13-year-old son collapsed and died the next evening once they arrived back home. Swift Runner buried him in a waist-deep grave in permafrost, but left the body intact because the Wendigo said, "Leave that one under the snow so the others may follow." 3 nights later, before sunrise, Swift Runner shot his wife Charlotte and used his Hudson's Bay Company hatchet on the 3 young girls. They were 9, 5, and 3 years old. They were also bundled together for warmth, which according to him made it a lot easier. However, all of this caused the 7-year-old son to wake up. He woke up to see his dad quartering his mother's body. Swift Runner sternly commanded the boy, "Melt snow for water." Weeks have passed, and spring was coming. He had eaten his whole family, sucked the marrow dry out of all their bones, smoked what meat he had left, but he still had a 7-year-old son, and he was afraid that he was going to talk. So Swift Runner sent him out to collect sticks for the fire. As he walked outside the front of the tent, he then halved his torso to fit into a kettle, split his leg bones for the marrow, burned the vertebrae and finger bones, and wrapped all of his thigh meat to smoke later. He buried it in the snow to keep it frozen. After hearing this story, the Royal Mounted Police decided I think it was best to arrest Swift Runner and take him into custody.
Yeah, fair.
Here's the thing.
If not, a little, maybe unfair. Maybe they should have kind of cocked their own rifle.
I would agree with you. But this is a controversial case because this is the first time that Europeans had interfered in Native American law. And I know from our point of view, yeah, kill him. But the Royal Mounted Police were like, this guy's insane. We have to put him to a trial. This is more than we thought. Because think about this. They're hearing these stories of these wild people out in the woods executing people with Wendigo psychosis. Not once have they experienced it firsthand like this.
Right.
So, I could tell you, hey, this guy ate his family or he's going to be cannibalistic, so they killed him. However, in person, you see this man eat his whole family and all there's left is the scrapes of bones because the marrow's sucked out. And, people are witnessing guys get killed by their own family members and getting their hearts ripped out and burned and thrown into the woods. It's a lot more brutal than when someone tells you about it. So they arrested him and they did the whole few-month journey back to Fort Saskatchewan with him. And the whole time, apparently, he was extremely jovial and extremely casual. He was even making jokes about it, like it was no big deal. They tried him, and the judgment was done in an hour and a half. Sentenced to death, December 20th, 1879. They brought him to the gallows, and the priest there offered him a Bible. Repent for any sins.
Worth a shot, I guess.
He said, quote, I've already made my peace with the Wendigo. And refused the Bible. Now they put him in the gallows with the rope. And he began singing Wendigo songs in Cree. Because some of the Cree tribe were there to witness it. The thing is that this actually took a little longer than I thought I was going to. And so he made a joke while he was on the gallows. So as the man's fiddling with the rope, he said, quote, I could kill myself with a tomahawk and save the hangman further trouble. After fiddling with the rope, they pulled it, and he fell through, and the rope snapped his neck clean, killing him instantly. This was the first execution in the Alberta Territory. Official one. And it was a big deal because it was a native guy. Because they were told that Hudson's Bay Company and Canada and all the government officials were going to let the natives do their own judgments, their own rituals, their own executions. They can judge their own people. And this broke that. So this is a big deal. And to this day, the case of Swift Runner is still debated in law classes. So what do you think about Swift Runner? Like,
I was just about to ask you the same thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the whole... I wanted to get onto this because this is a common debate people have in law class. It's like, yes, from our point of view, he's a psycho. He did something terrible, unforgivable. But it's not the fact of what he did. It's, would it be more correct to let the natives do their own judgments, or do you think that the Royal Mounted Police, seeing this horrible crime, were in the right to do this?
Well, I think I can say with absolute certainty that if we didn't kill him and we left it up to the native tribes to decide, they would have killed him.
Yes.
So it's more of a matter of who should have killed him, not whether he should have died.
Yes, but they wanted to do the steps. They wanted to do the sweat lodge. They wanted to have the shamans. They wanted to do all that. And if it did lead to execution, then that's fine. But they felt as if the Royal Mounted Police came into their jurisdiction, took one of their own, and then judged him when they felt that they should be the one judging what he did. So, like I said, even if they killed him anyway, would it be more correct that the Cree would be the ones to judge and use their ways to do it? Or do you think the Royal Mounted Police are the ones that did it right anyway? Because lots of people would say, if the Cree did it, like you said, the Cree did it, they probably would have executed him anyway. But was the Royal Mounted Police wrong in doing that the way they did it? It's tough.
Well, there's definitely a broader question in there.
Bring it up. What is up?
Well, it's just the fucking history of Canada, I guess, at that point.
It is. Yeah. This is a big part of history of Canada. This is a big turning point.
Yeah. I mean, the first execution.
Yeah. I think it's in the Albertan territory. It might have been. But still, it's...
Well, they were in Alberta, so...
Yeah, the Albertan territory. But it was a big deal that European law got involved in Native American law.
Yeah. The emotional response is, yeah, probably just sooner than later get rid of this guy. He's already eaten his whole family and murdered them brutally.
Yeah.
I don't know if Sweat Lodge would have really made up for that, even if he said that he wasn't hungry for people anymore, There's always next winter.
Yes, that's true.
So, yeah, I don't know. Emotional responses, sure, get rid of him, but
it's hard to be in those shoes.
Well, yeah.
You don't get it. Like, to them, the Wendigo is a big part of the culture going back thousands of years.
Well, they went to investigate in the first place. As soon as you start investigating, then you kind of fall through. Otherwise, what's the fucking point?
But they went because a priest sent them the note.
Right.
So it started with a European guy sending for his courier to get other European guys to delve into the territories that belong to the natives. And that's why there's a big debate was this correct?
What about you? What do you think? Was it correct? What does correct even mean?
Well, correct means is basically, it's like your own independence, right? It's like...
Okay, sorry. So let's look at it for a slightly different way. This is a man that is coming into the European settlements and trading and being around the people.
Yes.
Can you have someone that has murdered and eaten their whole family just freely roaming around the European settlements? Regardless of whether you think they should have been there in the first place or not, they're there and he's walking around them and he's eating his whole family.
That's a difficult thing, right? Yeah.
Do you ask him nicely to not come back? I don't know.
Well, there is some stories of other tribes that dealt with Wendigo psychosis where they would just exile them for the winter. And if they survived the winter and came back, then they would be brought back in. Not always execution. And I understand that, I think the part of it is he was on a European settlement, but I think this crime happened in the native territory.
Mm-hmm.
So where would that line be, right? Like, if they arrested him in their territory, why didn't they give him back and let them judge? Instead, they took him from there. None of this is defending what he did, by the way.
No.
I think he's a bad guy no matter what. He went nuts no matter what. But
this is a fun little it's exercise.
It's a debate that's still happening in law classes today.
Yeah.
This has been the thing in Canada for 150 years.
Yeah, and neither of us are law students or have ever been.
No, we are just two dudes in a basement.
We're two dudes in the trades.
Yeah.
In a basement talking about Wendigos.
But it is an interesting...
So take our opinions with a grain of salt, being we don't fucking know.
it is an interesting topic.
This is also a different time and place.
It is an interesting conversation. Yeah. I think, in my opinion, if they arrested him and found reason to believe that he did this, and he fucking admitted he did it.
Yeah.
I think...
He seemed giddy to tell the story.
And way too casual, joking about holding his wife's skull. I think he didn't do himself any favors with that.
No.
I think, as a person who's not in the situation, I think the Mounties should have arrested him, got him off their settlement, given him back to the Cree Nation, and then let them do the judgment.
Right.
However, I think because, you know me, I believe in gray areas, I think because he was so playful at the crime scene,
yeah,
it didn't help him. And I think the guys got emotional from that. Like, this guy's a psychopath. And maybe they also thought, hey, if we take him off, we got him now. Like, he could go.
He could turn around and start killing them. Who knows?
Yeah, like, I could...
He clearly has no qualms about it.
No. So, I'm kind of mixed like that. Like, if you're looking at no human emotion whatsoever, the proper way they should have done it is arrest him, give him back to the Cree Nation, let them do the judgment.
Yeah.
But I think him being playful at the crime scene, picking up his wife's skull and laughing at it, I think that didn't do him any favors. I think that's because they are also human. They arrested him and took him away.
Yeah.
So,
well, the debate rages on. Either way, killed him.
The debate rages on, and I think it's never going to be a solved. It's always like a, what do you think is...
Yeah, well, I mean, they did solve it. They killed him. He didn't get a chance to kill anyone else. He also didn't get a chance to go to the Sweat Lodge. Womp womp.
No punishment sauna for you.
Maybe next time. I don't know.
Maybe next time.
But that's not for us to say. It happened, and we were born in 1996.
Yeah.
When was this?
1879.
1879. Every single person that existed on that day is dead.
Yes.
In the entire world.
And I'm pretty sure their grandkids are too. But still. Anyway, I had to bring up that debate with you because everyone debates it. So
Yeah,
we had
well,
to talk about it.
There you go.
Anyway,
I don't know, but probably should have died one way or another.
Yeah, no matter what, he should have died. That's what I think. Now we're going to move on to the 1900s.
Perfect.
We've talked a lot about the Wendigos, about the shamans, about people suffering from Wendigo psychosis. We haven't talked about the Wendigo hunters yet.
You mean the Mounties?
Okay, that was good. There's a man named Jack Fiddler. Jack Fiddler was the chief and shaman of the Sucker Lake tribe.
Jack Fiddler?
That's the name given him by the white guys.
Okay.
So he
kind of sounded like it.
Yeah, so he was like, he also did trading pelts and stuff like that. But when he went to some of the trading posts, they taught him how to play fiddle. And so he learned to play it. So they called him Jack Fiddler.
Oh, there you go.
He was, again, the shaman and chief of the Sucker Lake tribe. And this tribe is extremely isolated. It's in northwest Ontario. You can only access it by canoe in the summertime and dog sled in the wintertime. And it takes, I think, about a month from the nearest town to get there. This is so remote that most people in this area have never seen a white person before. Now, Jack Fiddler is credited with killing 14 Wendigos. He and his son Joseph were a family business of Wendigo hunters. Now, this wasn't just a guy going around killing people randomly, anyone was hungry.
No?
No. Let me explain. If anyone had any sort of Wendigo psychosis or early signs that they could be a Wendigo, they would get Jack to come help. Jack would start with the sweat lodge, with the different things you had to do to determine if it's a Wendigo or not. And from there, he would first get the blessing of the family before he'd kill the person who had to be a Wendigo. This one case was in 1906 with a woman named Keisha Luce. She gave birth, but afterwards began showing signs of the Wendigo. She started talking about wanting to eat her child, eat her family around her. She said she couldn't stop dreaming about having to eat them and could only smell the flesh of her loved ones. So Jack did a shaking tent session, which is kind of like a sweat lodge type of thing. They go inside a tent, but they got drums and they got people banging on the tent on the outside, and he's trying to rid them of the Wendigo. This went on for 3 days, but she only got worse. Jack and Joseph told the family that there was nothing more they could do, and they got the blessing to kill her. They had to end her suffering. So they strangled her with their dog sled tether. Not very humane, but it got it done. The following winter, a teenage girl stopped eating, claiming that an icy man lived in her chest and could only smell flesh. They tried everything. Nothing worked. And they gave up when she tried to attack and bite her little brother. The community gave them the blessing that they could kill her as well. They believed that she was full Wendigo. However, Jack was old at this point. He was in his mid-60s. So he sent his son Joseph and a few of his nephews to end the woman's life. They got to her, subdued her, and suffocated her under a blanket. Now, this is the early 1900s, and this is an extremely remote place. However, Reverend George Albert began hearing stories of these shamans going around killing people when they were suspected of being Wendigos, and he told the mounted police. It took them 2 months to get to the reservation, but they got there and investigated for a few weeks there and got enough information and a story to arrest both Joseph and Jack and try them for murder. So they brought them back, and this is only 25 years after Swift-Runner. This is the mounted police getting involved with the Native American law. The Native Americans are like, no, they're not murdering people. We're giving them the blessing to kill people because they're Wendigos. And this is just not computing with the mounted police. Now, when they brought them back and they were going to try Joseph and Jack, they also were going to try some of the nephews as well for helping them. On the day of the trial, they found Jack in his cell, hung from the ceiling. He had killed himself in jail. He was 67 years old, and a lot of people think that he was actually dying anyway. They ended up trying Joseph and his nephews, and they all got sentenced to death. And this is again another time when the mounted police got involved with the Wendigo and with Native American culture. I know this is probably not what you were expecting when we were going to talk about the Wendigo,
Not even slightly.
but the Wendigo has a lot of history to it and has a lot of things tied into real life.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the reason that alcohol was spread throughout North America to Native Americans was from Wendigos and people giving them alcohol to try to fix that. Led to a lot of worse things down the line. The first official execution in the Alberta Territory was due from a Wendigo. Hudson's Bay beginning to give food and trade was due to Wendigo. Wendigo is a big part of Canadian history, and no one really thinks about that.
I don't think anyone even knows about it.
No, lots of people don't realize that Wendigo was a big part of how lots of issues had formed in Canada and North America alike.
Here's a question for you.
Give it.
This Wendigo affliction.
Yep.
Did it only affect the indigenous, or did it also affect any of the European settlers?
It didn't affect the European settlers. It only affected Native Americans, as far as I know. It kind of reminds me of how, like, skinwalker sightings in Navajo legend, they tend to only affect other Native Americans. I think it's something like that. And I do think a lot of this is legend. A lot of it is just, the Wendigo is a creature of greed, sin, and hunger. It's like a representation of the worst parts of the winter.
Yeah, well, yeah, like I said earlier too, it's like it's a diagnosis of a symptom, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you have a cold. Oh, you have the flu. Oh, you're a Wendigo.
Yeah.
You're exhibiting these signs that are consistent with cold, flu, Wendigo.
I know a lot of this so far we've gone to the Wendigo psychosis side of things.
Yes.
But people did report these creatures in the woods at the time. These pale, gaunt figures, large footprints. There's reports of Europeans in Canada who had left their entire catch of fish because they found massive tracks in the snow that they believed were the Wendigo. People getting slaughtered, they believed were due to Wendigo, as I've told you before. These stories are all throughout journals that you can read. I know we've talked about before that idea of the Wendigo with the antlers and stuff is not real. However, the modern day cryptid of pale crawlers is a real cryptid that people talk about. And it is awfully similar to the Wendigo. For those who are listening to this one, haven't listened to the other one, if you want to listen to more Wendigo stuff, you can also listen to our episode on pale crawlers.
Very different.
It's very different than this. It's more based on the modern day sightings of what these Wendigo creatures could be. You can also kind of consider this a pale crawler part 2. Because I do have some modern sightings for you, brother.
Oh, perfect.
As we've kind of gone over, the Wendigo is more of a spiritual belief to the Native Americans. It's a monster, but it's also like a lesson in greed, in keeping your morals, things like that. Kind of like a boogeyman, I would say in layman's terms. However, the creature of a Wendigo, the gaunt, skinny humanoid that's really tall, I believe that's an actual creature that was tied to this legend. And as we've gone over, pale crawlers fit that description, not the deer man. In our pale crawler episode, I did have a bunch of videos for you. So if you want more videos, go back there. I do have links to them all. They're all in the show notes. But I got a few more for you today.
Perfect.
Remember last time we talked about that dirt bike video?
Yep.
Where the guy is driving through and then he sees the creature and freaks out and drives away.
Yeah. And we even talked about another one where he came back and kind of did the same thing, freaked out and left.
Yes. Here's the thing, brother. I made a mistake. That video I showed you was the part 2. The initial video is that other video that you brought up on that episode.
Right.
When he went up and heard the voice. I got that video here for you.
Fire it up.
Let's go.
If you turn around, you never get to see what's on the other side. That's where all the gold is waiting over there. Could be missing out what's on the other side. Hello?
Buddy definitely wasn't willing to fuck around and find out.
No. And it matches that description they were talking about, how the Wendigo would call out and try to attract someone out there. And it also matches that wailing child kind of sound.
Also sounded kind of cat-like it could have been like a cougar.
Could have been a cougar. Because cougars do make that sort of sound. I heard it just outside my house the other night. It was fucking terrifying. So it definitely could have been a cougar.
Is that in Canada? Where was that?
I don't know where that is, actually. I couldn't tell you.
It definitely looks like a western forest.
A little bit, yeah. I don't know where it was. Could have been a cougar. Still an interesting video. And then the other video where we go back and we see the actual creature there is another interesting video as well. And his channel is mainly just motocross stuff. It's not like a spooky channel sort of thing. What do you think about those two videos back to back? The one with the sound and then the one with the body.
Well, I don't doubt he got freaked out and got out of there by a noise.
Yeah.
You know, I've done my fair share of bushwhacking, or whether it's 4x4 or just literal bushwhacking on foot, especially when you're like alone or maybe there's just one other person and you're isolated, you're way out there. There's no one around. It is easy to get freaked out.
It is.
And, the mind can run wild when you hear a noise. So I don't doubt that he got freaked out and left. I don't think it's staged or anything.
No.
But as to what it was, it's hard to say.
What about the other video with the creature in the video?
That wasn't this guy, though.
Same guy.
Let's watch that other video again. It's been a while.
There's even more bones than last time. Looks like we've already passed it a while ago, but that tree is gone. Oh! It's just dark as hell in here. I'm probably going to turn around soon. Oh, there's two ways. Holy crap, dude, this trail goes on forever. It just got really quiet really fast. That was my cue to leave.
What do you think?
I think there was a set of glowing eyes there.
And a human shape.
It just looked like glowing eyes to me.
There's a shape that actually moves in the video. There's you see the arms, the shoulders, the body. It's all pale and it actually moves.
Can you pause on the shape so I can get a good look and make my best doubting opinion?
You see shoulders and a skinny body. And a head. You see it now.
I did, I walked around the table. Unheard of move for the podcast to get a closer look. I did see kind of what it was talking about. It is still hard to make out, of course.
Still something there.
There was something there.
And it matches the description of a pale crawler, which matches the description of a Wendigo.
You kind of make this shape out of something there with glowing eyes.
There's something there.
Something was there, and Buddy was freaked out and left.
Yes.
There were crickets and stuff, and then all the noises stopped in the video.
Yes.
And then he got, like I say, freaked out. He struggled to start his bike up again, and then he got out of there.
Yes. And those are the only two real spooky videos he's got. Otherwise, it's just him riding his bike.
He didn't go back for a third time?
I think that was enough. I would also agree that if I was in that situation, that would be enough. I'd find a different bike path.
Yeah, probably. Something about when you said there's more bones there than last time.
Yeah. I haven't seen his other video, the full video of him riding the bike the first time.
Yeah.
But probably saw some bones on the side of the road or something.
Yeah.
As he was driving.
Well, okay, so what do we know from these two videos?
Mhm.
There was a high-pitched kind of noise from the first one.
Yep.
That sounded kind of vaguely cat-like.
Yep.
There's a pile of bones, which had grown. We didn't see the pile of bones in the first one. We saw bones in the second one.
Yes.
And then we saw reflective eyes, and you couldn't really make out the shape of what it was.
James is underselling it. There's a shape of a frail humanoid in the video.
It could be a cat.
Frail humanoid? It's pale as shit.
It's dark with glowing eyes.
You can see the shape of a person. It's not a cat.
You can see... There's a phenomenon where you can see shapes and stuff that's not stuff.
Pareidolia?
Sure.
You mean the thing that it's seeing faces and things, but yeah.
Yeah, but not that, but something like that.
Yeah.
Especially in a forest, especially in not quite night, but as dusk can get before it's pitch black.
That
You can make out. I've slept in forest many a times in the years. I've been camping lots. I love going out in the forest. It gets dark. You see stuff.
yes, you do see stuff.
So there, you saw a glowing set of eyes, and there was
And a body and a head and shoulders.
so sure
Standing on two legs.
It could have been a pale Wendigo crawler. It could have been a cougar. It's hard to say.
I don't see where you got cougar from. That's not a cougar.
I got a cougar from the sound it made in the first video, and it's in a forest with a pile of bones. I don't know.
That could be something completely different.
Could have been. It could have been lots of stuff. I don't know.
That first video definitely could be a cougar. Second video, too humanoid. That is not a cougar. 100%. That's what I think. Don't shake your head at me. I'm the professional here.
I'll shake my head plenty. I've watched lots of videos, and it's hard to make what's in that one.
Okay, whatever. Well, I've got another video for you. This video, I simply labeled horse, and that was enough for me to remember what it was. So in this video, there's this guy, he is on a native reserve, and he's riding his horse. When he hears something mimicking a voice.
Okay, so that is a video of a man riding a horse.
Yeah.
And there's a feminine hey that you hear, and the horse stops immediately. And then you hear the same hey again, and the horse kind of looks, and then he goes, "Oh, what the fuck?" And then they turn around and leave.
Yes.
My impression from that hey sounded like it played from a speaker.
It sounded weird.
It did sound weird. It didn't sound like a hey from a person that was there. It sounded like a recording hey to me, and it sounded the exact same twice. Which, yesterday you said this. The exact obviously we'd have to analyze the audio, but you can't make the exact same sound twice.
Very, very, very hard to. Yes.
So to me, that given I don't know it was the exact same, but it sounded the exact same, and it sounded like a recorded voice to me.
That is the part that makes it interesting. So when a Wendigo or a pale crawler mimics a voice, that's kind of what it sounds like. It's almost like they're hearing someone say it, and then they imitate it. Which is why lots of the mimic calls from a pale crawler or a Wendigo is like a recording. And that's why lots of it's like, hey, help, or the odd bit of screaming or crying, because they're just imitating what they've heard from people, usually before they've killed them.
I mean, from that first video, the guy heard the noise or whatever, and then he yelled hey himself.
Exactly. So all they hear is hey. Lots of the voices people hear. If you see any videos of guys who they hear voices coming off the thing, and it's like anything other than like hey. I've seen some videos where it's like a demonic laugh or something. It's like that, and I don't think so. However, the hey or the cry or the help me, like those are things that these things would hear. And the way it sounds the same like that is what people report with the Wendigo. Is it's not going to be mimicked like they're trying to make a different sound. It's like they're playing a recording in their vocal cords back out to you. And the part that makes that look like at least it's not edited in the video is the horse reacts. If this was an edit in the video, you would see the horse like jerk up and not respond to anything to the left. However, the horse stops on its own, its ears go up. And then you hear the second hey, you see its head go like this. So it's reacting. So there's something in the video that's manipulating it. It's not a post edit in the video.
Yeah.
So that's the part that's interesting. Again, inconclusive, but all we know is from this guy is his account isn't really like a spooky account. It's more like a farmer everyday account. And he happened to get something cool on it like that.
Yeah.
So can't prove anything from all this, but it aligns with Wendigo stories.
Mm-hmm.
I got one more video for you. And this might be the one that makes you hate me. I have a video of a Wendigo chasing a car.
See, you always say it's going to make me hate you, but I feel like it's going to make you hate me because of how I'm going to react to all the stuff you show me.
See, I say it's going to make you hate me because you're going to be like, this son of a bitch is telling me what to think, and he thinks that this is a Wendigo chasing a car.
You should know. You should know well by now that you can show me anything, and I'm going to make up my own opinions regardless.
Stop!
So what do you think of that?
Sounds like they were having a great time in that video.
Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know, they thought it was just a crackhead or what. But
It looked like there was a naked man chasing a couple of guys in their car, and the guy filming in the car was having a great time, going ah! Like the having fun yell when someone's chasing you. I don't know.
it's either a having fun kind of yell or one of those guys who chuckles when he's in danger.
Yeah,
Lots of guys do that when they're in danger, or if they don't realize how much danger they're in, they just think it's some guy chasing their car.
well, that's what it looked like, and that's what I think they probably thought at the time.
Yeah, but that thing's keeping up to them in a car, and they look like they're driving pretty decent speed.
Kind of hard to tell. It's dark, but it was. I mean, it was keeping up with them.
Yeah, that's the even if it was going like I think it was going more than 20k, 30k. That's fastest man in the world type speeds, even if that. And I don't think they were going that slow. I think that's like an estimate at the slowest. It could just be a crackhead with superhuman fat speed, but also it looked creepy as shit. Just another inconclusive video for you.
I wonder what that oncoming car saw when it went by.
I'm very curious about that. But again, pale crawlers, people don't like to talk about it or report it. They just say they saw it and then they don't want to say anything. Hence why this has been an epidemic of fucking sightings since the 1940s, but only in the last 5 years people have really started putting the links all together. So I have one more video for you today, James. And it's of a man defending his house from Wendigos.
Son of a bitch. All right, whatever you are, you need to leave. Stay out of this place. This is our home. This is our home. Need to leave. You leave now. I don't think it's going to come around for a little bit. I think that'll keep it away for a while.
It's my turn to say, "Don't hate me." Guy sounds like the worst fucking actor in the world. This last video he showed me, he walks around the house like, "Oh damn, I see it. It's up there. Oh, it went on the other side of the house." Walks around the house totally out of breath, even though he's walking.
He is a large fellow.
And then he films back up on the roof, and there's what looks like a bony carcass up there. Oh, what is that? Oh damn. Brother, have some urgency in your voice if you see something. Hey, what's over there? This is my house. Hey, this is my house. Bang.
So his whole account is he's like an outdoorsman guy.
Yeah.
He's like lots of his is like hunting and like doing stuff on his property.
Yeah.
And you know, if he is out there, maybe he's used to this sort of thing. I don't know. Take it with a grain of salt. It's an interesting video. It's a cool video.
I suppose there's no follow-up videos of the carcass on his roof.
There might be. He has an account. Foul Mitten Outdoors. If he has more videos, he has more videos. But he has videos of like weird yells and stuff around his property and stuff like that.
Right.
Those are the ones that I've seen that are pretty interesting. Again, can't prove nothing with it.
Yeah.
But we've recently had an encounter with a pale crawler that we talked about on our other podcast with the driver T and that strange thing that jumped in his car. There are thousands of pale crawler and or Wendigo sightings all over North America, and they seem to align where these native tribes did see them. Here's the thing where it gets complicated. Not that the Wendigo hasn't been complicated this whole time.
They can only be filmed with potatoes.
Well, that's just every cryptid, obviously.
Obviously. You get a good quality video of it, it's not real. And if you get a bad quality video of it, it's not real.
double-edged sword of skepticism. You can't beat it. But here's the thing. The Native Americans, Algonquin, Cree, Ojibwe, they all talked about this creature. Some called it the Wetigo, the Wendigo, the Wetigo, and they all had the same description. A tall, gaunt, icy giant with no lips and shallow eyes. And we are seeing creatures that match this description to this day. However, because this was a big part of Native American belief, I believe that Europeans disregarded it for so long and didn't go into the areas where these things were, that now when they start to see them, they don't see them as Wendigo. And also, horror writers, guys who want to make scary stories, have taken the Wendigo and twisted it so much that nowadays we don't even recognize what the Wendigo is. You ask anyone nowadays what a Wendigo is, they'll tell you a big bipedal deer beast that eats people and it's got the skull on the head. And that's just from people twisting it and making it scary. Even the movie called Antlers, which is a movie about the Wendigo, titled Antlers, even though the Wendigo does not have antlers, features the Wendigo with that strange skull deer shape thing. By the way, highly recommend the movie though. Super fucking cool. Filmed in Hope, BC.
Just like Rambo.
Just like Rambo. Lots of movies are actually filmed in Hope. Anyway, not important. But these creatures were taken very seriously in Native American lore and treated as a serious thing for so long, and then disregarded by Europeans. And now people are seeing the cryptid that I believe they tie the lore into. It's the same thing with gorillas. The tribes in Africa tied the lore of these strange wild men who took virgins to sacrifice from their lore to an animal. The animal we know now today as the mountain gorilla. Who's to say there isn't some weird pale humanoid that lives in caves in dark parts of the world? They could have seen this creature. It looks like a gaunt human, and they could have tied their stories to this creature.
Are you suggesting that the Wendigo could just be a cave Bigfoot?
Actually, kind of. I think Wendigos are pale crawlers. I am of the firm belief that Wendigos are pale crawlers because I am, if anyone's new to this podcast, or if anyone doesn't really understand what I am so far, because I do get a lot of hate for debunking things, even though I am a believer in things, I believe in tying it to the realm of possibility through explanation. I don't want to believe in things just because someone says so. I'll listen to people. I'll listen to what anyone says. Someone tells me they said a leprechaun, show me, tell me. I want to hear all about it. And then show me what you have for evidence. If you don't have evidence, I believe either you saw something or by how you tell the story, I might think you're a liar.
We did talk about me hosting a leprechaun episode.
We have talked about you possibly hosting a leprechaun episode, which, man, I'm looking forward to. Anyway, not important. What I'm saying is, I think there's a way that people can tie the legend into a scary creature they see. And I think that's what happened here with pale crawlers, because pale crawlers are a cryptid that people see. Thousands of sightings. And the description of Wendigos, going back thousands of years, just like Bigfoot, thousands of years, tie into the same description as pale crawlers. And I think they had lore behind it, because it's a skinny creature that looks humanoid. They could take their lessons of cannibalism and sharing and community and don't be greedy and tie it to this creature. They had same lessons and stuff with Bigfoot type creatures, don't go out too far. These wild giants will take you. The wild giants of the woods, the Sasquatch will take you. They had stories for all these things that could tie in together. So I believe that Wendigos are pale crawlers are Wendigos, but there was a detachment somewhere in the early 20th century as Western civilization moved more towards spreading across North America and disregarding native traditions and beliefs. And somewhere there was a cut. And along those lines, people started reporting pale humanoids as Wendigo stuff started going down, but they do overlap. I think that there's something to that. That's my belief. What do you think?
Oh, man.
I know.
Are we getting into the final discussion here?
Well, if you want more videos, I've shown you stuff on Pale Crawler was kind of like a part 1 to Wendigo.
Yeah.
So if you want to see more evidence and more pictures and stuff, and more modern day stuff, I highly suggest the Pale Crawler episode. This was more for the tradition of the Wendigo, the native beliefs, the sources, and the stories that developed into what happened now. And the reason the Pale Crawler one was first is because something happened recently and I had to get it out. Otherwise,
Cashing on the hype.
It was too interesting and I had to do an episode before you heard that fucking phone call. It's insane. I don't know. Do you think there's any possibility that the Wendigo as a legend could be tied to Pale Crawlers as a creature? Do you think, I guess I'm asking you again, The Wendigo and the Pale Crawler. Do you think they're one and the same? Like, what are you thinking about it right now?
Talking purely about the creature, I think they're the same. Most of what we have talked about today, or virtually all of it, has not been about the creature.
Yes, this has been more about the what the Native Americans believe, the traditional belief
Yeah.
of it all.
So, in terms of what we have been talking about, I mean, well, it's just not been a creature; it's been people essentially, and their actions.
Yeah, because according to the legend, is that the people become Wendigos.
Let's say Swift Runner, after eating his family, did not get killed by the Mounties, and did not get killed by the Cree. He would have become what we have described as a pale crawler / Wendigo.
That is the belief.
Right.
I'm iffy on Swift Runner being a Wendigo, and the reason is because his kills seem so calculated. He didn't seem stressed out about it. He still remained pretty human. If you look at other cases of the Wendigo, they all become ravenous animals that can't be talked to.
Yeah, you've been definitely describing them as more of a struggle.
Yeah, it's like a werewolf to me. It's like classic depictions of the werewolf. And in Europe, there was an epidemic of werewolf attacks and sightings at the same time as the Wendigos. So that's what in Europe they were relating to was more like a werewolf, where these people were being taken over. I think the Wendigo is more like a werewolf type thing in the native folklore. And who knows? Maybe pale crawlers are something like that. People that have been cursed or turned into something or become emaciated or simply became feral, moved out to the wilds, lived in caves and adapted to be that. And, sizes and stuff get exaggerated. If someone's extremely thin, you can exaggerate the height of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, pale crawlers are seen as 6 to 7 feet tall, sometimes 8 feet tall. Wendigos are reported as 10 to 12 feet tall. And then take away the fear of the situation. Maybe there is a 6 to 7 foot tall skinny humanoid that looks taller because they're skinny. People do get 6 to 7 feet tall.
So a lot of this was based on what various priests over the years had journaled about.
Yeah, lots of it's based on Jesuit priests and Hudson's Bay Company journals.
Had any of those journals mentioned like the creature side of things?
Yes. Yeah, some of them have reported. It's more secondhand though. Lots of it's like, we were with a tribe and a bunch of men went out hunting and came back, reported this creature.
Right, okay.
I'm sure there's some. It's like, think about how many explorers and priests and stuff were over hundreds of years. I'm sure you could find some things where people did say they saw something.
Bigfoot with mange.
Well, Bigfoot was reported a lot back then, and honestly, Bigfoot with mange could be something. I talked about it with the lizard man. Who knows? But it's a combination of journals. That's how we get it storied to the European side of things. But oral tradition of the Wendigo goes back thousands and thousands of years, just as long as, Ogopogo, as Bigfoot, as all these different creatures. The ones that have more meat to the possibility of their existence usually have sources in Native American folklore.
Yeah.
And Wendigo and pale crawlers align with that. Well, do you want to go conclusions about the Wendigo?
I think we should.
Alrighty. So today, James, on the case of the Wendigo, I know we focused more on the folklore side of things, but I feel like that was important. But combining that with the phenomena of pale crawlers in the modern day that are definitely, in my opinion, tied to the Wendigo, what do we come down to today? On our scale from 1 to 5, 1, I'm an idiot. 2, you're skeptical. 3, you're on the fence. 4, there's something strange here. 5, Wendigos are real, and we have not acknowledged them for long enough. What do you come down to today?
I want to be very clear on what the scale means before I give my rating today.
Yes.
Is this rating about the monster Wendigo existing? Or is this about the indigenous people being cannibalistic and then becoming Wendigos? I know that's kind of blurred line, but we talked about, they're very, in terms of what we talked about, they're very distinct things in a way. One potentially leading into the other, but, distinct for what we talked about.
Well, we did talk about pale crawlers, and I believe you came down to a 3 on the pale crawler.
Mhm.
You were on the fence. Let's do 2.
Okay.
We can do a rating for do you believe in the Native American folklore of the tradition of the Wendigo? And how do you rate that on being a real thing? And then we could rank the actual creature of the Wendigo.
I don't know if that makes it easier or not, but let's
I
try
don't.
it.
We've already done the Wendigo basically as a modern day creature with the pale crawler.
Yeah. So okay. Well,
So do you want to focus more on the Wendigo as a legend or as the folklore?
let's kind of focus on the folklore, I guess, in this case.
It's a bit
because
different.
that's what we talked about for the most part, anyways.
Yeah. I know it's not ghosts, really.
It's not ghosts.
This is something really
It
outlandish.
seems like an explanation for rampant cannibalism.
Yeah, but it's weird how animalistic the people got. Diving on people and just becoming overwhelmed and then screaming that the Wendigo has them in their grasp. It's extremely dark. This is definitely probably the most violent, dark case we've done.
I mean, yeah,
We've done other disturbing cases, but this one,
there's quite the description of what Swift Runner did to his family.
sucked the marrow dry.
I have no idea how to rate this. Because I feel like I know what we said, but what am I putting a number to?
It's weird because the Wendigo's kind of a spirit, but kind of a cryptid.
Okay, let's put it this way. Do I think... Okay, I'm going to treat this like a possession. Do I think the Wendigo spirit was possessing people to make them eat each other?
Okay, we'll do that one.
Okay, for the lack of a better term, possession of people, I'm going to lean towards a 2-ish on this.
All right.
I don't think that during the times of hardship and starvation that these people were facing, that it was a spirit making them turn to cannibalism. I think it was just starvation and hard times, and maybe a little bit of I don't know. Well, you even described it plenty of times as like a psychosis, right?
It was called medically back then Wendigo psychosis.
Yeah, I mean that might be just the best term for it. We weren't there, but we can only imagine what kind of hardship was actually going on then. It would have been brutal.
It's hard to fathom
Yeah.
what exactly was going on then.
Like, must have been like full on like emaciated people in some cases, right?
Oh yeah, like I told you earlier, like the guys would expect people after the winter to look skinny and emaciated.
Yeah. You can look at all of human history across the world. People will eat each other if it comes down to it.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes down to it, the right choice probably is to kill them because they're going to kill and eat you otherwise.
It's eat or be eaten, right?
Yeah. So I think it's just that. I think it's starving people doing desperate things.
I understand that. And also, I mean, back then, the Europeans called the natives savages, but let's be realistic. Everyone was a savage back then.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone was brutal back then because you had to be, because if you weren't, you were going to die.
Yes.
Like, watch American Primeval.
I did.
Everyone-
That is a brutal but good show.
And it's honestly true. Everyone had to be a little bad to survive. It's just how it was. It was brutal, and we can't figure it. We can't even begin to think about how it was.
Yeah, well, everyone likes to put today's morals on yesterday's crimes, but the entire human history is survival.
Essentially,
It is brutal, it is horrific,
Yeah,
and it's unfortunate, and that's what people did.
it's true. Like people have always,
And there's no exceptions either. It's not one side or another, it was everyone.
yeah, everyone. Literally, every person had to do that if they were in a survival state. And like, there are real monsters out there, and they are usually people.
Yeah.
People do terrible things.
So that's why I give it a low rating. I said 2. I'm just like it's not a solid number. It's ballpark in that area because I think it was starving people doing desperate things.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And I think maybe the beliefs instilled in the Native Americans maybe fueled what they were thinking.
Yes. And on that note, there's plenty of examples, again, throughout human history of people's beliefs leading to behaviors.
Yeah, that could be a thing. It happened in other places too. So
Pick something, religion, culture, whatever.
yeah. Now, however, though, the cryptid of the Wendigo, the pale crawler, are we still on the fence?
I think it would be unfair to change my rating on it from based on this episode, because we didn't really go into it other than a couple of videos at the end here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to
Stay on that 3.
keep the rating that I gave at the time from the episode where we went more in depth on it. And if you want to know why I gave it that, check it out.
Good idea. And also, maybe if you're ever interested, we can come back to Pale Crawlers and look at more stuff.
I'm sure there's always more to go into.
Oh, there is. Anyway, thank you for listening, everybody. I couldn't get James over the fence this week, only on a 2, and I understand. The Wendigo's a complicated subject. Lots of gray areas, lots of different beliefs all colliding into one place. But it's a terrifying story. It's a good story. The Wendigo is a classic, and I also hope I educated some people on the Wendigo, because a lot of people believe incorrect things about it. So I hope you at least learned something. Follow us on all of our social media, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. I post all of our case photos on there and updates, and the link is in the description of every episode that we release. If you enjoy what we're doing here, rate and follow on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, or wherever you listen to this podcast. It really goes a long way for us. Also, share with your friends. Word of mouth is the best advertisement, and it's free. If I've missed anything, or if you have a case that you'd like us to get into, you can email us at darkdosenpod@gmail.com. And with that, James, any words to the wise?
When winter's rolling around, maybe just keep a Snickers on you at all times. You're not you when you're hungry.
That doesn't get a Snickers sponsorship. I don't know what will. Wise words from a wiser man. Thank you for listening, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.